Hey, slot car enthusiasts, it's your buddy Anthony with another, I guess, long overdue edition of Race to Win. I'm going to do a quick video on how I make my custom trees. And I want to reach over and show you one I just made. Just made this about 2-3 minutes ago. And this is great for those who like to put a little realism into your slot car layout, or maybe even your train layout. But I want to show you how I do it. Super cheap, super easy. I think they look fantastic. So let me do my best here to put together a quick video to show you how to do it, how to make custom trees for your slot car or even your train layout. So number one, I tend to wear gloves because I'm going to be using 3M glue. Hopefully you can see that. My apology for the lighting. It's not the best. I'm still learning how to do this. But just some 3M spray glue. Some cheap hairspray from the dollar store. These things cost $1 a can, so they come in handy. And I use flocking, woodland scenics based on whatever season you want your trees to represent. You can get this from woodland scenics, and also from woodland scenics, I'm just going to show you in my hand the flocking. I just, I got so much of it, I just keep it. Parts that fall off, I just put it in a plastic bag until I need it. But this is the flocking. It comes in a bag, and that's what we're going to do. Now, the single most important thing you're going to need are things that represent your trees. So as an example, this is actually a branch off of a shrub in my yard. And what I do is I find branches that have the general shape of a tree, because you're trying to make realistic trees. And you can certainly buy, I think Woodland Scenic sells a variety, but I mean, you're paying $20 for them, and you can make these for pennies on the dollar. So I try to find branches that have good shape. And so what I do is I go in my yard, I got a pair of snippers, I snip them to the size that I want. And even though I've already done it, I want to show you, you can go to the hardware store and get simple nails from your Ace Hardware or Home Depot. You can get them in different colors, but this is about the right size, maybe a little bit long for what I need. But I take my trees, and because my layout is resting on foam board, I use a molding nail to be able to insert the finished tree into my layout. Now, how I do this, even though this is already done, I've got a drill with a very small bit. Hope you can see that in the video. Really small. And what I do, now imagine that the nail's not in there. I take and just tap a small hole in the bottom of the tree branch. And then what I do is take a little, I like Gorilla Glue. Take some glue, turn the branch upside down, just put a drop here. Then I do is I take the nail, let me show you. Now this is a nail they use for like molding, shoe molding at the bottom of the wall. And I think I paid like $3 for a box of them. And then what I do is I take a pair of clippers, or snippers I should say, wire snippers, and I take and I cut it. I cut the top of it off, so all I've got is the length of the nail that I desire. So once again, go into your yard, find a branch that's the shape of a tree, take and drill a hole with a very small bit in the bottom of the branch, take a drop of glue, put the glue in the hole. You know, you don't have to be exact, but just in the general area. And then what I do is I hold the tree, or what is going to be a tree, and I take this and I stick it in the hole just enough to get it started. And I've got another pair of pliers, and I just take and push it into the hole just enough, and then the glue does the rest. I take and set them aside, let them cure overnight, and when you wake up the next day, this is kind of what you're going to have. This can be inserted into the foam board, and that tree is not going to move. It's very solid. So let's get into how I add the flocking. Now, since I'm not a master videographer, I'm going to do the best to kind of convey how I do it. But if you can just envision it, I've got a small waste can to my right. And what I do, because this stuff gets on everything, so what I do is I've got a tall waste can with a plastic bag in it. And I take the branch, and what I want to do is spray the glue on the area where I want the flocking. Okay? I want to spray it saturated. You can't put too much on, it'll be coated. You want to coat the branch or the part of the branches where you want the flocking to adhere to. So as an example, you can see how it looks now, because I'm going to do one right before your very eyes. So here it is now. Shake up the can a little bit. Got my nail in place. Now, just as a reminder, you want to put the nail in and have it glued in properly prior to putting the flocking on. Because if you try to put the nail on and the flocking is some of it might come off, it gets messy. So this is the way that I do it. I generally put the nail into the branch, let it sit overnight, come the next day, add the flocking. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to take the glue, spray it, so you can see how it looks. It's beginning to coat it. Not quite enough, because I want my flocking to be spread pretty evenly. So I'm going to put some more glue on it. Make sure you glue the tips of it anywhere where you want the flocking. Now, easy to do. So you can see now, I've got glue all over the branches. I'm not concerned about it being exact. I just want to coat it heavily. Now here's my little, necessity is the mother of invention. And if I can do this here, I've got a, like kind of plastic bags you get from the grocery store. I just fill it up with flocking. Just fill it up with the flocking you want to use for your trees. And guys, it's not rocket science. I just stick the branch in the bag full of flocking and just swish it around. So I know you can't see it, but take my word for it, that's what I'm doing. Now sometimes it's easier than other times depending on the shape of your branch, but all you want to do is to take, now I've got it in the bag, shaking it, just trying to get the flocking, as much flocking as possible on the branch, and it doesn't come out finished. You gotta do a little secondary operations, but just kind of shake it around and be gentle. A lot of times you gotta get the right kind of shrub to use for your trees, because if the shrub is very pliable, it may break, or if it's brittle, it may break. The shrubs I use are kind of perfect for this, so I shake it up real good. And let's see what we got. Sometimes it coats great, sometimes not so great, it just depends. So this is the stage number one. And I like to kind of shake it around because it kind of goes on naturally. And then what I do, I begin to backfill areas where the flocking in the bag did not adhere. And if you need to add more glue, it's okay, you can do that. So I'm going to add some more glue. I apologize you can't see it, but trust me, that's what I'm doing right now. Is adding some more glue. Now remember, this glue, this 3M glue, it dries clear. So make sure when you buy the glue, and hopefully I did it this time, you want glue that dries clear, not white. So what I'm going to do now, by hand, is begin to add some flocking and just put it on. Don't be bashful about it. There's no wrong way of doing it. But as you can see, the flocking just sticks to this glue like crazy. And the more you do it, and I'll use this phrase willy-nilly, the more natural it looks. And you don't have to have it just like a real tree. There's spaces where, you know, you don't have leaves, or you might have branches that are not covered fully. And you can see it starting to take shape, starting to look good. And I really think, and I really think the Woodland Scenics product is great, but for a few pennies, you can make something that's real wood. It really makes, I mean, that branch, that trunk looks like a real tree, just in miniature. So I take and put it on and just use my fingers. And sometimes I recommend, you know, wear gloves, because the glue can get all over your hands, and it comes off with soap and water and a little alcohol. But if you can, get some gloves. And then what I do is get some more flocking out of the bag, put it on my workbench, and start filling in spots that I didn't get when I put it in the bag originally. And guess what starts to happen? Look at that, guys. Starting to take shape. That's a nice looking tree, at least in my humble opinion. I know I'm biased, but hopefully you feel the same way too. Let me know in the comments. And just like in a real tree, you get these, you know, these odd branches that stick out. Just take your hand and don't be afraid to use a little bit more glue. Break your flocking up into the sizes you want and just stick it on there, man. It looks great. Now, we're almost done. And I'm serious, it just, it doesn't take long at all. And what I tend to do is let them sit overnight so everything can cure properly. And I leave gaps, you know, because real trees, it's not totally uniform. You don't want it to look fake. You want it to look real. So I just recommend just use your own imagination. Now, here's something that I do to add a finishing touch to it. Now, tell me, guys, doesn't it look great? And you can always cut off, you know, branches you don't like, but on a real tree, you have some branches that are dead and they don't grow leaves. It's okay to leave it like that. Now, what I do, take my dollar store hairspray, get the cheapest stuff you can, and I just take and spray tree. Now, this cheap hairspray, you know, it is ironic with my hairstyle, me buying hairspray. Every time I go to the store and I buy like 10 of these at a time, the lady at the register or the guy at the register looks at me like, why is this guy buying 10 cans of hairspray? And you know, I just kind of walk it off and go about my business, but I guess it does raise a few eyebrows. Now that I've sprayed it, while it's wet, take your Woodland Scenics flocking and just sprinkle it, just a coating. Now what that does is, every place where you have exposed glue, where you did not have flocking, you'll get these little flakes that make it look like leaves. Okay. All right. And what I do is I shake it. Now you can't really tell, but by putting on just the Woodland Scenics, and I want to put it on the video so you can see it. It's called Blended Turf. And I know it might be backwards, but it's called Blended Turf. And you just sprinkle just a light coating. And I don't use the 3M spray. I use the cheap hairspray, and it adheres to the flocking. It adheres to the branches, and it just makes it look, it almost looks like, you know, from a distance, like you're adding leaves to the branches. In every place where, you know, as an example, it's okay if you've got a spot where you want to add some more flocking, just take your 3M spray and just hit that section and add some more flocking. Like I like this branch, but I want to put something on this branch. So I'm just going to take and put a little 3M glue on it. Take my flocking that's in front of me and just break it up into small pieces and just stick it on. Just like this. And you know, sometimes when it doesn't look the way you want it, just pull it off and try it again. Like I said, guys, there's no wrong way of doing it. I think it looks good. And sometimes in like my layouts in my basement, and it gets dry down here, so it's okay. Some of the flocking that's not glued on great will just fall off over time. You just pick it up and put it in your bag for later use. I never throw the stuff away that falls off, but generally speaking, 95% of it stays on the tree. And I've had my layout now for a couple of years and everything looks great. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments section. I apologize, I'm not the best, most experienced videographer, but I wanted to share some insight that I think if you love slot car racing like I do, or at least building the layouts as much as I do, I just think it adds a great touch of realism. So, moral of the story is, what do you think? You get to pick which view. I think I like that view better. And you've got the nail on the bottom. And I just take and sit them. I've got a, gosh, where do I have it? You can't see it, but I've got a place where I can just sit these up and just wait 24 hours. And you can always come back and add more flocking till you get the look that you're after. And but that's it. That's it for me today. With, you know, your buddy Anthony with another exciting edition of Race to Win. And I hope this video is helpful. Let me know in the comments section. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to it, because there's more information coming where this came from. Take care, guys. God bless. Stay safe.